Big fight coming up with your son and Keith Thurman. How do you see Shawn's training so far up to this date?
Shawn has really never stopped training since we had the Bronner fight. And, in between the Bronner fight till now, he's just stayed consistent just on a working level. But now we're starting to crank it up and ask more of him. So, his everything has just stayed, even and balanced the whole way. But now we're really starting to push him and challenge him.
Now, as a coach, you see everything different than from he does. He's actually experiencing it, but you're seeing it from a coach's eye. What do you see where where Shawn can go in there and dominate this fight in March?
There's a lot of questions that we're going to ask Keith on fight night, and we're, looking for the answers. And, one of the analogies I like to use in this particular situation is like there's certain levels. There's levels, in boxing, and we're going to raise our levels, and there's going to come a point in time when Keith can't raise his level, and I'm going to challenge Shawn to challenge Keith, just like when we train in this 12,000-foot altitude here or even higher. There's a lot of things that we're going to throw at him. There's a lot of things he's throwing at us. But, on fight night, it's going to be about making adjustments and who can raise their levels.
How do you get Shawn ready for those levels here mentally as well as physically?
The mental part is the hardest part of boxing. There's so many people who don't realize and understand the places that you have to take yourself to, as we were just referring to, the levels. The levels of the mentality that you have to, just like, hitting this right here, you've got to really have a mentality that nothing can stop you. And if you're banging against this, you just got to keep banging it till you tear it down. So, that's the hardest part, and that's a day-to-day thing to challenge the athlete to not just physically be prepared, but to be mentally prepared. So that one I can't just answer off the cuff. That's a hard one, but yeah, every day we challenge him mentally as well as physically.
How much of the training would you say is in order to become a champion? Porter's a former champion. Thurman is a champion. Obviously, these guys are going to have levels. They're going to go to their levels. But how do you know when you beat your challenger? In this case, Thurman, where you know that we got him in the levels.
That'll happen on fight night, And I see Keith as being fighting very phonetically and sporadically, and not knowing exactly what he wants to do. And it's up to us to keep throwing those questions at him to see if he can answer them. We may know in the first round if he's doing the things we want him to do. It may be the fourth or the fifth round, if he's reacting the way we want him to react. But, going into this fight, I know Keith's got a lot of doubts, and he's not sure, and he's got a lot of fear. But a guy who's afraid can be very dangerous as well. But we're going to play on all those things. We're attacking him from every level. He better be mentally prepared, physically prepared, emotionally prepared, nutritionally prepared. Spiritually prepared. He's better be balanced all across the board, because if we find any chink in the armor, we're going to attack that, whatever that might be. And, I know he would try to do the same thing to us, but we've had quite a few sparring sessions with Keith, and he's never tried to attack us. So I'll be shocked if he tries to really come after us on fight night. And I do see Shawn having to do a lot of things to cut the ring off and get to him. But, it's going to be an exciting fight. I know Keith's coming to fight. We're going to have to trap him. And when we do trap him, he's going to fight even harder. So that's what's going to make it just that much more exciting, that, maybe he fights a totally different fight than people expect him to fight, but he fights even harder in that situation.
Do you see any fighter in the welterweight division training the way you're training Shawn to get to the point of the levels? Do you see any fighter at the welterweight division, in your opinion, that can go to those levels that you're talking about?
It's not that they can't, it's all about having the resources, and I created these resources for Shawn, whereas before in years, leading up to now, we would fly to Colorado and train in the high altitude. We would go to Mount Charleston here and run in the high altitude. We'll still do those things here, Mount Charleston and stuff like that. But it's about the resources, and it's about the information and the education that is given to the athlete. And, if he's able to take that and receive it and then, transition and transfer it over to the actual fight. So all of this is for naught if Shawn doesn't transfer it over on fight night. It doesn't mean anything. But to this point, he's been able to do the things that we've asked him to do on fight night.
Final two questions. How do you see fight night going for you guys?
I see Shawn having to make a lot of adjustments. I see Keith fighting, like I said, sporadically and phonetically, and not knowing which direction he wants to go in, and trying to land, a punch here or a punch there that might surprise Shawn. But I see Shawn being able to walk through that and get to Keith and punish him. And that's what I want in this fight. I want him to punish Keith. And I want Keith to know, and he sees these interviews and he knows, and the only thing they say is, "Oh, Kenny Porter's talking," but that my talk is real. That's what we're preparing for. We're preparing to punish you. You do know that. We are preparing to punish you, and then we're not going to leave anything left unturned. All the way until that 12th round is over with, until that bell rings, and or if it happens, even sooner. So we will, we're all looking for these surprises on fight night. We all got questions on fight night, and everyone sitting in those seats will be looking for those answers.